you guys know, once you train naturally for 2 or 3 years, it gets very hard to make gains. So I was hoping that, under the supervision of a doctor with low dose testosterone, I could continue making gains.
That's not called testosterone replacement therapy anymore, that's legally juicing. What's up guys, it's Uranus from Brussels. Welcome to another video. Today I'll be reacting to another big fitness influencer who admitted that he was on testosterone replacement therapy for the wrong reasons. He regrets it because he was on TRT way too soon. The man in question is How to Beast. He's a YouTuber, he has a lot of subscribers, his channel is about how to build confidence and getting jacked, and he was totally honest about jumping on TRT. So let's discuss why this man was on hormones and why he wants off, because in my opinion sometimes it's just best to rely on your good old testicles for your testosterone and not a shot in the ass. So let's get to it. So David de las Morenas, or How to Beast, is all about gaining confidence, getting jacked, talking to chicks and win at life. His videos are always funny and some of his advice is actually quite useful. He works out a lot and he built a jacked physique, but at 30 years old he decided to hop on TRT for the following reasons.
I decided to start TRT, or testosterone replacement therapy, because first of all, I had been training naturally for about 7 years at the time, and maybe I hadn't reached my full genetic potential, but I definitely felt like I was close. Like you guys know, once you train naturally for 2 or 3 years, it gets very hard to make gains. So I was hoping that, under the supervision of a doctor with low dose testosterone, I could continue making gains.
That's not called testosterone replacement therapy anymore, that's legally juicing. Beast had been working out for years and he achieved a great physique, probably better than 95 or 98% of all other men out there, but he stopped making gains because after years of working out he had reached his genetic potential and gaining more muscles became incredibly difficult. Now his testosterone levels were average, dead average actually, 500 nanograms per deciliter. Here in Belgium that's the average, and with those kinds of testosterone levels you will never get testosterone prescribed to you unless your free testosterone, that actually matters a lot, is way too low. But with 500 nanograms per deciliter, the chance of getting TRT right here are almost zero. Now we'll get to there in a minute because he also shared his blood work. So he hopped on testosterone for 3 years because he wanted to keep making gains and he wanted to have more energy. He was also influenced because, the man earns his living with his body.
And I don't regret even a little bit telling y'all about it, because I always think that honesty is just the best policy and it creates more realistic expectations. However, I do see this is younger influencers and guys in the gym who aren't even younger influencers, who are just part of like the younger fitness community. It is becoming more and more normal for these guys to hop on like larger and larger amounts of gear at a younger age. And to be fully blunt, if I could go back in time, I probably would have put off this decision a few years longer.
It's just a bit sad these days that influencers have to take drugs to actually keep their physique on point 100% of the day, 365 days a year. By the way, I'm not judging. I myself am on 125 milligrams of testosterone per week, but the only difference is that I was never capable of producing any TRT myself before. My body is not capable of producing any TRT. So I always feel a little bit pissed when these fitness influencers that have totally normal endocrine systems end up on TRT just because they needed to keep their physiques on point the entire year. And they also hope that it's going to be a magic pill, and to be honest, it isn't. Now let's look at this man's blood work. So the point of hormonal replacement therapy is actually to replicate your normal hormonal production. And if you look at his result, and especially regarding his total testosterone and his free testosterone, he never actually was in the reference range. He was always above it. And sometimes if you look at his free T, he was even double the reference range. That's no longer TRT, that's juicing with a prescription. His estrogen was also a little bit too high, and usually if you're on TRT therapy, that's a sign that your dosage is a little bit too high and you need to go lower. So now after 3 years he made this update video because he's thinking he hopped on TRT too early and for the wrong reason. Some people don't realize that when you're doing TRT in your 20s or in your 30s, whether you need it or you don't need it, 10, 20, 40, 50 years later, you will still need to inject yourself. You know, it's for the rest of your life, and you have to carry needles everywhere you're going. You have to see doctors, you have to have regular blood work, and you have to inject yourself with oil every single week. So sometimes guys in their 20s, they don't think about the consequences of it later. Especially here, How to Beast, David had a totally normal and functioning endocrine system before that. Now don't get me wrong, testosterone, if you actually need it, is a freaking godsend. You know, if you don't produce TRT anymore and you take testosterone, it's a godsend for you. But if you're in your 20s, you've been working half-assed out in the gym for the past 8 months, and you're going to see your doctor because you want to hop on TRT, hoping to gain more muscle gains, you really need to think about the consequences on the long term. So How to Beast regrets his decision. Why? Because he already had achieved a great physique before. Now after starting TRT, especially the first months, he gained quite some muscle left and right, but now it's been a couple of years, and he says outside of the first months his gains are actually really small now compared to before. Except now he can never ever say again that he achieved his physique naturally. Even if he stops TRT, he will never be natty again. So he can never say, I achieved that physique myself without the help of any hormone or anything. So speaking about getting off, after 3 years of being on TRT, it's going to be really difficult to stop testosterone and get your own system working again, because it has been suppressed for way too long. He's going to have to take special drugs like HCG and Clomid to restart his own system. He's going to be in an emotional roller coaster. His libido is going to be on and off, and it's going to suck to get off of it, especially after 3 years. Why? Because he never should have been on TRT in the first place. The thing with TRT, and I see this every single week in my gym, guys want to try testosterone. You can't try testosterone, because once you start taking it, you stop producing your own testosterone, and you will have to keep on replacing what you don't produce, you know. So I see a lot of guys, they're working out half-assed for 1 or 2 years, they barely know how to lift and eat, and they want to try testosterone. Except what you're thinking about now, you don't think about the consequences in the future in 10 or 20 years, because you will still have to put a needle in your ass every single week, just like I have to do it, you know. So you have to think about the consequences. Let's hope David, or How to Beast, is going to be alright, and even if he stops, I hope he will have the necessary follow-up by his doctors and the necessary drugs to restart his own production, and that he will be fine. Alright, that was it for today's video. Leave me a comment to support my channel, subscribe if you like my content. Thank you for watching, I'll catch you on the next one. Uranus out.